his when he began to sing that song at the end, what was that song you just say at the end?
With the end?
Yeah, at the very end.
Blessed be the name.
Blessed be the name of the Lord.
The way he sang that, man, there was. You ever listen to John Michael Talbot?
I've heard of him.
John Michael Talbot. You never. Oh, you got to go to YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. John Michael Talbot was a good friend of Michael Card. You remember Michael Card?
Yeah.
Well, John Michael Talbot actually was probably a better songwriter. He was just, and he was actually a Catholic priest. And when he sang, he'd wear a monk, like a old monkish robe. You know, not like a priestly, but more like a John the Baptist kind of. And he was, that's what he was though. And but he would be public, record CDs, and him and Michael Card often would play together. Very folk type real songwriting, and with the guitar, just the guitar. And he would sing these songs, and it was just like something real special. You know, it wasn't loud, it was just really poetic. And when you sang, brother, there was just something really genuine and powerful. And you know, let me give you, if you wanted a secular example, you know what it really sounded like? Bob Dylan. I'm telling you what his voice sounded like. Really? Did you think about it?
Very talented.
I mean, really. Bob Dylan really wasn't the greatest. He wasn't that opera singer, that big guy.
Right.
What's that big guy's name?
Oh, Papa.
He wasn't paparazzi, but he had a way of just singing that was simple and translated a message to people right where they were at.
Yeah.
And man, the moment he started singing that song in kind of a tenor, kind of went to a tenor.
I just said that to her. He sounds like Bob Dylan.
You just said that. Isn't that something? She just said that. Well, and Bob Dylan got saved, by the way, born again. He did a whole album for Jesus. But he was in a time, an era of church where, you know, they wrote books like Sippin' Saints, and rock and roll's a devil chant from Africa, and drum beats will take you straight to hell. So Bob Dylan grew up in a real religious, stiff-necked. You know, even our heroes, David Wilkerson, wrote books like that. You know, God bless them, but they were wrong. And they disenfranchised a whole generation. But thank God there were a few Chuck Smiths, a few Calvary Chapels, few things out there, a few Foursquares that, you know, and others that didn't disavow them. Didn't tell those hippies in the 60s and 70s they were all wrong and go to hell. They let them come in, a few of them let them come in their church barefoot, smell like incense, sitting up here cross-legged, and never criticized them, embraced them. And God moved, and out of that movement, Keith Green, Talbot, all of these names synonymous with revival. Amen. And the hymns and songs that create me a clean heart. There is a Redeemer, Keith Green, both songs. I mean, just unbelievable from that era. And, oh, thanks, bro. And we need that authenticity again, and genuineness. You catch that? We need that authenticity and genuine. We gotta, let me tell you something. I just feel it. I feel it. It's just kind of it's not even an admonishment. It's just a kind of going with the flow. Because the revival, there is a move of God imminent, folks.
Amen.
It is so profound. Every time in history when there's a revolution in the streets, the last time Berkeley burned, the last time there were riots in Berkeley, days and weeks later, revival gripped this country.
Yeah, amen.
Berkeley's burning right now. There are riots in Berkeley. It hasn't happened in 40 years.
Yeah.
We are seeing the very signposts and mile markers, the very earmarks of a national move of God. It's always a backdrop of riots in the streets, protest, bankruptcy, political intrigue. The John F. Kennedy 60s was backdrop was a JFK, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther. It was Berkeley burning. It was Native Americans occupying Alcatraz. It was
Kent State.
Penn State. We're having the same thing. Alcatraz for 2 years. Native Americans occupied that. Became a big, huge thing. They were mostly Berkeley natives too, smart Indians.
Chad, I read recently, shortly before the Azusa Street revival, was the earthquake in San Francisco.
It was, and the fire, and the fire. See that? Look at that point. So in the Native Americans in Alcatraz, now we have the Standing Rock. We have all the eyes of the world on Standing Rock. I don't oppose oil. I don't oppose us being independent at all. I think our alliances with the Middle East are just a travesty.
Yes.
We've sold our soul.
Yes.
And we have. From Prescott Bush and on, we just sold our soul for oil. And but in our progress, you don't ignore people.
Right.
You know,
Right,
you don't
amen.
walk on people. There's a way of doing things. What's amazing about that North Dakota pipeline is that up in Bismarck, where a bunch of white ranchers are, they detoured it without even
Oh,
thinking.
really?
Yeah, they just did a few miles, and you know, because it was white ranchers, and you know,
Yeah.
they were rich, and not, and you don't read that in the news. Not even a thought. Sure, of course we'll do it. It's, you're us kinfolk.
Yeah.
But when it came down to native people, right on the very only water source they have, the only water source they have, isn't that a trip? Hey.
Hey, sorry.
Oh, are you kidding me? This is usually when I show up.
You beat her today.
But I wasn't driving, so I had to come early. Or early late. I didn't even go to Starbucks. I would have been later than this people right here. I don't know.
Oh, my.
But because of Americana, because of the Americana, because of the culture that we have, the fierce patriotism that often is masked or it hides prejudice. Patriotism left unchecked. Watch this, guys. Patriotism left unchecked becomes a tyranny.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, Germans were the most patriotic people in the world preceding
Yeah.
World War II. It was really a movement that could have went either way. Isn't that a trip? In that movement, there
It's
was a
scary.
real renaissance in Germany following World War I. And they realized their mistakes, and there was a real renaissance of culture. They said the most brilliant minds and medical all were in Germany at that time. There was a real revival and a stirring of the people of who they were and their history. But if there's not leaders that begin to cry out for the Lord, and the people that hear that, then they default to something worse. And that's where we're at in America, is if we don't, you know, our patriotism can become prejudice and can default and make errors and mistakes again, stumbling blocks, and God cannot ignore, you know. But thankfully we're seeing things right now unprecedented. With abortion, we may be living in the generation in the next year to 3 years where abortion's illegal.
Yes.
We're on the cusp of this.
Amen.
We're on the cusp of this. This is intense. But this revival spirit that's hitting we commented on Berkeley and all the different signposts, same backdrop, almost as if you're close Back to the Future. It's almost like we got in the DeLorean and we're seeing the same things happen right now. And we need to prepare ourselves with that in mind. We have to prepare ourselves in every way. And this is what I was going to say earlier. This is just kind of a side note, but just bear with me. Just kind of take this in. We got to dress down a little bit. Really. When this revival starts to hit, we got to become a Hudson Taylor in China. We got to become a missionary again.
Amen.
I think if we went overseas or in Africa today right now, if we were, blink your eyes and we were somewhere in Sudan, we'd be dressing for that culture, the heat, etc. I think we got to start adjusting and become missionaries here in America. No, really. In our Sunday mornings, we got to start adjusting and start picturing ourselves as missionaries now here and kind of dressing for the occasion, kind of dressing down, kind of even our music. Start maybe digging out some old songs that really touch the people. Salvation Army, that old 1800s movement that, you know, dressed in uniforms and military garb, the Salvation Army, they were the first ones. This is kind of a unknown notation in history. You know, the Salvation Army took all the secular songs of their day, the drunkard songs, and made them into worship. They did.
Yeah.
And they'd go down the street singing the most common military song or whatever, marching song or whatever that was known in the day, you know. 100 beers upon the wall, who knows, I don't know. 100 angels in the hall today. I don't know how they did it, but they did it, but it captured the heart of the people. Can you imagine taking one of Bob Dylan's songs off his Christian record and sing it in church? I thought, what? Of course. God is getting us ready for revival. Amen. And we got to be like Superman, get in that phone booth and get dressed for the occasion. I know it sounds so trivial, but dude, really? Because what happens, I think it's more for us. We're mentally, spiritually prepared, going, okay, now think of this, okay, let me say it in a different way. If you were getting up this morning before church like we used to, back in the olden days, we had to do some milking the cows, getting the chicken eggs, and